It's important here to understand that music in dialogue with painting or with any visual art is it's not just a question of me playing a piece that sounds like the picture or something like that. That's too primitive. What I want to do is to get the people, or get the painter, in this case Eva, or the dancer, whatever, to move to the sound, to paint through the emotional interaction and reaction. And Eva is going to now get ready to do this. She's of course nervous because it's one thing to... Yes, you are. Du fühlst dich beobachtet. But here's the question, you see, that's the difference between a visual artistry and painting a picture. She can paint a picture and all are quiet, no one's here. She has hours to make one pencil strike or whatever. But now if people are here listening to me play and her, then she has to do it now, and it makes it a completely different thing. You know, if you've ever listened to music with someone that knows something about music, you listen to it in a different way than if you just listen to it by yourself. It's more intensive, it's more informative. You hear things you've never heard before, even though you've heard it 100 times before. And every little sound becomes a very, very important part of the whole reaction and interaction. So it's important that you get everybody involved. And when I speak of psychokinetic energy, I mean everybody thinking about what it's about, because it changes. We know from physics, the laws of physics, and the newest studies of physics, that just by you looking at something that happens, you change the outcome of it. Even if it's electromagnetic thinking, or however you want to. I'm not going to use terms that someone is only going to criticize later. And generally, that's the whole point about making music or making art or whatever. You have to get beyond people's criticism. The only way you can get beyond that is to not worry about success or failure. Beyond success and failure, beyond somebody's criticism or misunderstanding or childishness, or because they're not capable of doing what you can do, they belittle it. Just like the fox and the grapes. The fox is walking around, he sees some grapes hanging, he jumps and jumps and jumps, he can't get to the grapes, and then he says, oh, they probably weren't good grapes anyway, I can't jump that high. That's the whole thing. Everybody in this world is an artist. We're all gifted. But some take the trouble and have the desire, and for what it takes is moot. When I was a little boy, I used to pray that I'd get the last note, high note at the end of the piece, because I wasn't strong enough to do it. I was afraid I wasn't going to do it. I would actually pray to God before I went on the stage that I'd get the high note at the end, because it's difficult. And so everybody has to find out what their life is about. Now I don't care. I really don't care. Why? Because I played enough high notes. I made enough money. I've had enough people pat me on the back and say, oh, you're great. I don't want to be great. I don't want a lot of money. And I'm not afraid of not doing that, but expressing myself. That's what these YouTubes are all about. You have to have the courage to be yourself, the courage to say what you feel, and perform in a way that shows your feelings, not to be afraid of your feelings. So now, Eva's painting right now. She's listening to what I'm saying. So Eva, you have very many colors here. What did you say this is called, this picture?
It's called Regenbogenbucht, Rainbow Bay. And yeah, if you are interested in the history or the thoughts about this painting, as I was a child, I wanted to become an astronaut. And I studied a lot of books about space and astronomy and stuff like that.
I never wanted to become an astronaut.
I wanted, really, until I was
13,
I guess.
I think that's great.
Yes, and there was also a book about the moon, and there was, in the book there were the moon craters, Mondkrater, yeah, moon craters, I don't know the English word for that.
So where did this thing come down from the Americans? It came in the Bay of it landed in the Bay of Tranquility.
Yes.
So this is, yeah, and this is?
Yes, but the thing was the following. I studied the moon craters, and was fascinated about the names. And so there was a name, it was called Sinus Iridum, or Iridium, I'm not a Latin.
Iridium, yeah.
Yeah, Iridium. And it's
Which
called...
is an element. Iridium.
Yes, or the iris in the eye, it's Regenbogen. And the Bucht is called Regenbogenbucht. And then I imagined how this Regenbogenbucht would look like in this desert of moon. I saw a fancy rainbow bay, and that was the idea for this painting.
So this is an imagination, this is your form of imagination about thinking about what it'd be landing on the moon as an astronaut and finding a rainbow bay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Some kind of that, yes. And maybe this is methane hydrate or
Yes.
carbon dioxide, you do not know. Solid carbon dioxide mountains, I have no idea. So you never know because no one has been there yet, I guess.
Yes. And who is this?
That's the ferryman.
The ferryman.
Yeah, he goes with his ferry into this bay, to this mountains there, or Ufer Bay, and yeah.
Isn't there a song by Chris de Burgh, "Don't pay the ferryman till he gets you to the other side"?
Yeah.
And so, is he already been paid or she?
I think he doesn't care about money.
Ah, that's even better.
Yes, he just cares about silence, tranquility, and inner peace.
So if he doesn't care about money, he's not somehow here thinking about, he's still here, being here, and then going there. So that when he gets there, he's going to be here too.
Maybe he will return,
Maybe he will return.
or he will stay. You never know.
Okay, so you're thinking about a journey
Yeah.
in the bay of rainbows. So,
Yeah.
so I wrote a poem called Faded Rainbows. Of the times we shared, building rainbow castles way up in the air, and those sweet nights we knew bring tender and warm thoughts of you. How we shared each dawn, creating sparkling starbursts with our sweet love song. Why can't love last forever? Can't you see I want to make it so? So, you've gone your way and found somebody who you think is more. Okay, but that won't change what's past. For what is inside me will last. Those precious days are gone, and all I have is sadness I've turned into poetry and song. And then look back and reread. So I don't cry in public. I keep it on the shelf. Until I regain my feet and can go out with other girls I may chance to meet. Then look back and reread to see if my new love is so sweet as the times we shared, building rainbow castles way up in the air, and those sweet nights too. So, rainbow castles. So, every way you work about a fantasy, everything that you need to express your emotions, comes out in a painting, comes out in a poem, comes out in music, comes out in a little postcard. I used to get a postcard from Sweden all the time. Whenever it's Christmas, I think of you. What a wonderful postcard. So now we're talking about what you felt about this thing at the time. When did you stop wanting to be an astronaut?
Since I realized that we have to resolve the problems on Earth and then go one step further into the space. I was 16, I guess.
16. When I was 16, I was studying Zazen.
What's that?
It's a form of Buddhism from Japan. Zen. But Zazen is when you don't think, you just feel, you just see. You stop really thinking and start just feeling. and you start to see, you sit in front of a white wall, and you see your thoughts come up, and you just realize you're not your thoughts. You're beyond even your thoughts and your needs. Now, Zazen is not a religion. It's beyond religion. It's a philosophy. But it's beyond philosophy. It's reality. It's when you go full circle. It's when you take the boat and go to the Rainbow Bay and then go back home and decide not to be an astronaut because we have enough problems here that have to be solved now, here. That's why Eva's a special person. And when she paints something, she's painting it from her real feelings, from her heart, and taking time to do that. It's not about money, it's not about room and rang, not about fame and glory. It's her life story. And so some people say, well, you know, when I was a little boy, my mother got sick, and I was under a lot of pressure. I had to play the trumpet, I played the oboe, I played the saxophone, I played the trombone, I played the bassoon, the clarinet. Played in 6 or 7 different bands, symphony orchestra, brass quintet, brass ensemble. I studied history and harmony. I was 12. I said to my father, after this concert I have to go back, I have to write a study about Chile for the school. He said, don't worry about school, you're going to be a musician. Just Durchschnittstrei, just a C average will be enough for you. I said, I still have to do that. I don't want to stay after the concert. I don't want to talk to the people after the concert. Let me come home. So my mother got sick, and she went into the hospital. And I was there only with my father. And she was the only one that really wasn't so ambitious, because my father wanted me to be a musician more than anything in the world. If you can imagine that. Mm-hmm. And so I took my trumpet, and I went into my music room, and I closed the door. And I just played. It wasn't blues, it wasn't jazz. It was just my feelings that came out of the end of the line. And I think that's when I say art has to do with how you are your own therapeut, how you're your own healer, how you have to understand that about life. It's important. When you listen to someone talk, or when you talk together with your girlfriend or boyfriend, listen to his feelings, don't listen to his words. The music is between the notes. And the painting is between the painter and what she's painting, and between you and your fantasy. So when I see this, I'm looking at Eva right now. That's Eva. As a pure, an angel, a Geist. She's floating in the water, way out in space. So, now I'm going to play a little and you're going to paint a little. Okay?
Play some waves.
Paint
some waves.
You want me to play some waves?
I just paint the ball. Ja, kommst du rein?
Es werden ja Fotos gemacht.
Nee.
Nein.
Komm rein.
Grüß Gott.
Grüß Gott.
Das ist ja nicht unreal.
Ja, kommst du rein? Jetzt wird's noch netter.
Ja, okay.
So, if you're very quiet, you get a glass of sect in 10 minutes. Okay? Oh no, they're going to go now. Okay. Good. Yeah, okay. she
Look
used
at
the
this
waves,
face.
okay? So everybody gets a paintbrush, so
Everybody can,
yes, everybody has to paint a wave.
but not on this canvas.
No,
please.
no, no, exactly.
Okay.
So you see what an interesting thing is, interaction between a musician and a painting can be about. But it's very difficult until you learn to just cut everything out. And the people have to bring their psychokinetic energy to it. It's very important. Now, Eva is such a lovely person. She wants it to be the day of the opening door and whatever. She's only doing this because I asked her to do it. That's how supportive and sensitive and you know, you can really talk to her about it. But often we have the same ideas, don't we? It's amazingly enough, huh? We have,
Sometimes, yes, we hung up this choker together.
we hung
And we
this
didn't
joker.
discuss, so we just
No, we had
did
no
it.
fight. There was no fight. Can you imagine that? You know how difficult it is to hang that up? You know? I mean, it's her painting, of course. But, you know, putting it up, it's very difficult. And I said, you must put this picture up for your vernissage. Didn't I tell you?
Yes, because it's in the program heft.
Because it's the star of the show. The star of the show. Yes. Yes. So that's the idea. Now, Mike has to go home, and we'll let the cameraman go, and then we can just, I just want to get a little bit closer to you and play beside you and let the people talk about whatever they have to talk about.
Sure.
People always want to talk.
Yes, it's fine. Communication is good. But
It is,
sometimes
it
it's
is.
also nice to not to talk and not to listen, just be
Just to
together.
be, yeah, that's what looking at their pictures about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in our society, people do not know how to be quiet and alone with themselves. I read a very interesting book called Solitude by a very, very good doctor of medicine. He's a psychoanalyst and a journalist and an author. His name is Anthony Storr. He died in 2001. He was a fellow in Oxford at the university there. And he wrote about the necessity of people learning to be alone. Because being alone is the source of your own creativity. If you can't be alone with yourself, you get up in the morning and the radio has to go on, this like Groundhog Day. You know the film Groundhog Day? With Bill Murray? Every time he wakes up in the morning, it's Sonny and Cher singing, I got you, babe, I got you, babe. It's a fantastic film. Basically, it's about how people always got to have something going on around them. They just cannot be quiet within themselves and hear their feelings. Not their thoughts, but their feelings. And so it always is a thing when something happens, something cataclysmic. When there is like my sister's husband died recently, and she called me this morning, and Mike was supposed to pick me up. I said, Mike, I've got to talk on the telephone to my sister for a while. Here's the whole point. If you are aware that you have to be able to be quiet within yourself, then you come back to your own feelings, and then you can relate to other people's feelings. Because at certain points in our lives, we are all alone. She called because her husband died, and I wanted to console her. And she felt very alone. She was afraid to go into depression. And I said to her, I care about you. What you have to learn to do is be happy within yourself. You cannot be happy because someone loves you. You have to be happy because you're lovable. Just because someone loves you doesn't make you happy. A lot of people are loved by a lot of people, but are not happy. You have to first of all be secure within yourself. You have to know yourself. And the way to know yourself, the way to understand yourself is to be able to be alone with yourself. And any great artist spends his time alone first to create something because he has to go into it, he has to look into his soul. Somebody asked me, what is playing the trumpet for you? I say, take the trumpet to my lips, and I look through the mirror of my mind into my soul. And then I realize it's not my soul, it's everyone's soul. I'm not looking at a drop of water, I'm looking at the whole sea. And then anything that comes up inside me is a question of how quiet I can be within myself, so I don't stand myself. I'm not standing myself in the way. But it's always difficult when people cannot listen because they cannot be quiet within themselves. I know if you don't understand when someone is telling you the truth, you don't want to hear it because you're afraid of it. It's difficult. Anyway, I always wanted to be a baseball player, not a trumpet player. So I'm going to knock a home run here. Buy's going to throw a ball. I told you I was going to teach you how to play baseball, didn't I?
You talked me once.
Yes. Well, we're going to have to do that. Play baseball. So, could you just go out? The last picture should be this on the corner here. See? It's Eva hanging on for dear life. The little harlequin in the corner, yes, hanging on for dear life. Thank you so much for looking in today. And we're going to have a new series called SteuART. It has to do with philosophy, it has to do with psychology, it has to do with what musicians and artists have to do when they look inside their souls and create something new and spontaneous and real for themselves and for other people to associate with and learn from. Thank you so much. My name is Richard Carson Stewart, the Tromba music in Hofstrasse 10, and this is Eva Neukamm, and we're in a studio and we're in a studio in the Ursulinerstraße 6, 97070 Würzburg. Thank you.